Good afternoon, Mr. Arpin. Sir. My name is David Michikowski. I'm counsel for the Ottawa Police Service. Mr. Arpin, you were involved, you told us, in the negotiations that led to an agreement with the convoy, correct?
Yes.
And would it be accurate to characterize the protesters as a cobbled together group of disparate individuals and hard to know who's in charge? Would you agree with that characterization?
I think that's a fair assessment.
And if I can ask, please, that you turn up document OTT 355, please. And that was the exchange of emails that we previously saw.
Text messages, sorry.
Text messages, I apologize. In that text message exchange, I understand that you wanted to make it clear that you would not engage with the radical elements of the protest, correct?
That is correct.
And you understood that the Sussex and Rideau group would fit within that characterization of the radical element.
It had been portrayed to us in briefings by OPS and the city as a very challenging group.
And I think actually the Sussex and Rideau group was characterized by you as a criminal element. Agree with that?
It is possible, yes. I have said that, yes.
And so even if the truckers moved, it would be unlikely to clear up the Rideau-Sussex intersection, correct?
It would make it easier for the combined police forces to address issues at other locations with a smaller perimeter and a smaller drain on resources in the Wellington perimeter.
But the Rideau-Sussex group seemed intent on staying, correct?
I don't know that.
Okay. And that was the access point for the Rideau Center, correct?
It had a significant bearing on the Rideau Center, but there were multiple other access points to the Rideau Center.
And the letter that was sent by Ms. Leach, I understand that she made it very clear that she did not, or her group, did not speak for all of the truckers, correct?
Yes.
And in particular, she said her group did not represent Farfada, the group at Rideau Sussex, correct?
Sorry, I don't recall that from her correspondence. We would have to pull it up, or else I'll have to say I don't remember that she said that.
Is that consistent with your recollection?
It's consistent with my recollection of my discussions with Dean French, who on numerous occasions told me, I don't speak for Pat King, I don't speak for XYZ, I'm here to try to get the broad majority of individuals to take part in this goodwill effort to remove trucks from the residential district and provide relief to residents.
And those other individuals like Pat King and the others were on social media at the time taking positions that were not necessarily consistent with the group that you were negotiating with, correct?
Correct.
And in fact, even the group that you were negotiating with that was headed by Tamara Litch, I believe that Ms. Litch had put out two apparently contradictory tweets on the day after the agreement, correct?
Correct. I believe she cleared up the misunderstanding, but yes, that's correct.
Right. So those appear to create some confusion as well as to how this deal or whether this deal was going to work, correct?
I don't have the information to corroborate that.
My understanding is you did not meet with the protesters directly, correct?
That's correct.
And so you talked about the PLT coming to meet with Mr. Kanellakis. And I take it you don't know whether those were OPP PLT or OPS PLT?
I know 100% certainty that they were OPS because the city manager debriefed with the mayor and myself.
And indicated that they were OPS?
OPS,
or did he indicate that they were PLT?
He specifically pointed out that they were PLT from OPS.
Okay. And my understanding is that the genesis of that meeting was that the protesters were refusing to engage with the PLT and were instead asking to meet with the city instead. Is that your understanding?
I do not have a line of sight on the reason for the breakdown in communications between the truck convoy representatives and the OPS. I believe that will come out in due course.
Was it your understanding that that's how that meeting came about?
No, my understanding is that there had been a breakdown in communications and the PLT was reaching out with a certain degree of urgency to have the mayor and or the city manager engage with the demonstrators with a view to helping them reestablish a rapport of some kind.
And so when the PLT came to that meeting to engage, they did not come to that meeting with an agreement in principle that they were simply asking to be ratified. What they were asking for was a meeting to help start or continue discussions. Is that right?
They sought a meeting, as the city manager told me, to help them reestablish a rapport between the city and the demonstrators, which had broken down. We were told the relationship had broken down completely and communication was non-existent.
Thank you. Could I ask you, please, sorry, the letter, we can call it up. It's documents OTT 6948, which is the letter from Ms. Leach to the mayor.
This guy is a walking encyclopedia. He's just boring.
Sorry, I've given you the letter from the mayor to Ms. Leach. It is 6964, I believe. I apologize.
It did look like he was reading his answers.
Same one.
It's the same letter.
I won't ask a third time because I don't want to strike out. But if
Well, maybe the Commission Council can help you with the number.
I'm looking for, I'll see if I can do it this way. The agreement, the letter from Ms. Leach referred to 400 trucks, correct?
I believe it did. I'd have to see it again.
Okay. Just a sec. I'll just show you the.
Councillor, I believe I found the document.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. If you'd be good enough, please to scroll down.
Sorry, if we could just read the number into the record.
Oh, come on.
So sorry, maybe I go back to the previous letter. Oh,
It's not there. Is
yeah,
it?
I'm sorry, it's in the mayor's letter.
Okay.
So if we could go back to the previous one, I apologize.
Can you provide the number, Councillor?
Yes.
6964.
They didn't want to say it because it says 6'9".
If you scroll down.
I don't need DoorDash or
Yeah,
coffee.
on the second page, the second
thank you.
paragraph refers to the departure of the over 400 trucks from residential areas. And so the 400 trucks was the concern. It wasn't simply the vehicles that would move as well, but the real issue was those big trucks, correct?
Yes.
And in terms of moving the trucks, you'd agree with me that that was a very difficult task. And in fact, I think in a text message exchange with Ms. Deans, you suggested it would be like a Rubik's Cube to
I
move
did
those.
outline the perceived complexity that was being written about by various media outlets, and I agreed with that analysis. It was extremely complex.
Could we please have document OTT 20710? And if we go to page 13, I believe that what Ms. Deans suggested as the solution was, how about arresting the drivers, confiscating the keys, and have them driven out? And then if you be good enough to scroll down, or go to the next page, please. And so your description was, if you can pull that miracle off, matching drivers with keys, matching keys with vehicles, getting their cooperation to identify the first vehicle that needs to be removed on streets that are blockaded with trucks, I believe you'll have to start with the first vehicle, then the next, in that order. The logistical challenge of moving those trucks out is nothing short of a Rubik's Cube without their cooperation. The same applies if you start from the back. And it then goes on. I won't read the rest. That represented your views of how intractable the situation was, correct?
Yes, you raised the previous text without giving me an opportunity to comment on it. On the highly simplistic and shocking suggestion that we would simply arrest everyone and take their keys. That's why I responded with a slightly more nuanced advice to the chair.
And I think your point was it would be a very long operation without the collaboration of the individual big rig owners, correct?
Yes, which is why an agreement was necessary to secure that collaboration.
In that exchange that you had with Ms. Deans, in her capacity as chair of the Ottawa Police Service Board, am I correct that another piece of advice you gave her was to minimize the number of OPSB board meetings because they suck up huge police resources?
I recall the context being one of the meetings appeared to be improvised, and they were contributing to a sense of demoralization within the general public. That was the context of that comment.
And so perhaps we could go to page 19, please.
This guy's a bot. Drop a robot emoji in the chat.
So what you said was, I would minimize the number of public board updates to maybe once a week as they suck up huge police resources and serve as a lightning rod to attack you, often for partisan reasons. Don't do it unless there is a clear and compelling need focused on major new developments. And so I take it you were aware of the concern about sucking up police resources in these meetings, correct?
Yes, and they shared that with us.
One of the people that you talked about having dealt with was Dean French and also Keith Wilson, correct?
Yes.
And Mr. Wilson was involved in negotiating on behalf of the truckers?
I don't know that.
I'm told, and we'll be seeing this through another witness later, but I'm told that Mr. Wilson described being on the ground on February 10th as negotiating in order to avoid a bloodbath. Would you agree with that characterization?
I don't have the information to comment on that.
At the end of the day, Mr. Arpin, you would agree with me that the combined forces of the OPP, the RCMP, and the OPS did an amazing job.
I do.
On clearing this up. Thank you very much, sir. I have no further questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Ms.